Hi guys, I am narrating this because I started the video without the video card in my camera, so I had to stop and start again, which is why ingredients are already in the bowl. But I'll tell you, this is my southern cornbread recipe. This is not buttermilk cornbread, and this is my version. Other people may make it differently, but this is my version. What is in the bowl is 2 cups of self-rising white cornmeal, a 1/4 cup of self-rising flour, and 2 eggs. I have never made this cornbread by measuring anything, so I've kind of worked out the recipe. But you'll see I'm pouring in the milk. I have measured out 1.5 cups of milk, and I only pour part of it in and see how it goes. So I begin to mix it, and I see that it's going to take the rest of the milk easily. So I go ahead and pour in the rest of the milk to the mixture. So it was a whole 1.5 cups of whole milk, and it worked out perfectly that way. So yeah, I have never measured anything as far as like my cornbread and biscuits and such, because I just make it by feel. So this turned out really good. Mix it really good. Make sure you get everything off the bottom of the mixing bowl. I use my trusty fork to mix with, mix my cornbread with anyway. So that's about the consistency you'll have if you use the measurements I gave you, which is it was perfect for my cornbread. So now you're just going to let it sit on the counter and kind of let the cornmeal and the flour kind of absorb some of the liquid, and you're going to go get your skillet prepared. So I use an iron skillet to make my cornbread. It just makes the crust crispier. You can use Pyrex or a baking pan, whatever you want, but I suggest that if you have an iron skillet, to give this a try. I don't know what the size of this iron skillet is, but I put about 3 tablespoons of canola oil in it, and now I'm sprinkling some of that self-rising white cornmeal into the pan, kind of even layer. It doesn't really matter. I could have dumped it all out and stirred it around, and then you just want to stir it around. And I had a table knife handy, so I used a butter knife or table knife, whatever you want to call it, to stir that cornmeal around in the pan and make sure it was coated in that oil. Now that skillet is on high heat, as high as my stove I'll go, and I'm preheating my oven also to 500 degrees. Now you may think this is crazy, but it does work. It works perfectly, and I do my biscuits that way too. I bake them on 500 degrees and just keep an eye on them. I couldn't tell you how long this baked, but you'll start smelling it, so you just kind of look in the oven at it, and when the top gets to the brownness that you want, go ahead and pull it out. But I'm just kind of swirling the oil around, the oil and cornmeal around, because I'm toasting that cornmeal. This hot oil helps make a crispy crust, and the cornmeal gives it a extra nutty flavor, and also helps it to release easily from the pan. So this happens really quick on cooking on high heat. You don't have to cook this part on high heat if you don't want to, but I like that oil super hot when I pour that cornbread in. It just makes a very nice crust on it. So there I'm kind of looking at the pan and see a shadow because I'm looking through the camera, and I think it's getting nutty, so I swirl it around because I thought it was browning a little too much on one side. Turns out it was just my me putting a shadow on it. But now it's just about right. I've got my batter ready to pour in, and I give it a quick swirl, and now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this with the camera in my hand. So I attempt to place it under my chin. The first attempt was a fail. I dropped the camera, and you'll see that there. And so I get it replaced, and I had in the meantime pulled the pan off the eye because I didn't want that to overcook. So I got this under my chin at this point, and I'm putting the battery in to that hot skillet. You place that skillet into your preheated 500-degree oven, and this is how it comes out. Nice. And it slides right out of that pan. Now to serve, I usually flip it over. I don't know why. Grandmother always did. So there it is. I'm kind of showing you about the depth this comes out. And I'm also showing you that there's some darker spots that look really dark on camera, but they're just a dark brown. They're not a burnt color at all. This cornbread turned out perfect. And there's the money shot of the plate. Boneless, skinless fried chicken breast, Crowder peas, stewed potatoes, that wonderful cornbread, and a couple of slices of tomato. I wished I'd picked up the cornbread and showed you.